Joining us now is Brian Lee, who's the founder of Black Health and Wealth. Brian, great to have you here with us today. And I mean, look, I used to work in a subset of the advertising industry. You look around, oftentimes you're the only one that may look like you if you are a minority in the room. So walk us through your experience and the struggles that you faced, particularly climbing the corporate ladder in this industry.
Definitely. So advertising is very challenging, especially when it relates to the Black community. And so when you're talking about entry levels, and especially if you're going into an ad agency, in most cases you're going to have to be in the biggest expensive city like New York, LA, San Francisco, or Chicago for very little pay. And so for those Black people that don't come from families with money, it can be particularly challenging to even stay. Then you add on top of that, to your point, you're typically one of a handful of people, Black folks, in the entire company. And at those entry levels, you're dealing with managers that aren't that experienced and that aren't really that good. And so in many cases, they're rewarding people that look like them and sound like them. It may not be on purpose. That's just what happens. And so when you have someone like me, for me, I'm someone who, in many cases, I grew up in different environments. I like a lot of different things than my actual colleagues. And, my growth was negatively impacted at first because of that, because I didn't look and sound like other people. But I still was true to myself. Now I don't have those issues anymore because I'm in a leadership position, and also because I've clearly shown that I have a track record of success. And that, when it comes to programmatic advertising, which is the part of advertising that I specialize in,
Right.
I'm probably one of the top minds in the industry. That being said, it should not be being successful, being able to have a job or put food on the table should not be that should not only be held for the few that are just, so far ahead of the pack.
Right.
When it comes to Black people, because that's not what we see across the board. But particularly those were some of the challenges that I had.
So with that in mind, you've pointed out that Black professionals, they make up 10% of college graduates, but less than 1% of Fortune 500 CEOs, only 3% of executive and senior manager level roles. That's according to a study by the Center for Talent Innovation. So talk to us about that statistic in particular, and if organizations understand that enough to put action behind reversing that trend.
I think organizations, they really want to change it. But I think the big mishap, and I'm seeing it again even now, is that there's only a focus on the entry level, which is great. There's a focus on finding folks for college, which is great. But I think the bigger issue is the mid-level. Mm-hmm. One, because when you get the entry level people in, they don't have people in mid-level that they're working with that look like them, that understand them, that can, communicate with them effectively.
Right.
And that aren't scared to, that can have real conversations. That's one. And then two, when we talk about leadership, the mid-level is important too, because I think the organizations need to have programs that are developing leaders, mid-level leaders, into executive positions within the organization, providing clarity on what it takes. So there's probably unwritten rules or expectations that are things that are expected from executives for people that get into that level that maybe some of the Black community just doesn't understand, because there's so little. There's less than 1%. We don't have people in those higher organizations to let us know on the side, on the golf course or other areas, how to get to those positions.
Polarizing the sun, underrated again. Show business and never love you the way you love it. We come and we go, they quick to forget. So every bougie event I attend, I tell them this. Sue me, I'm rooting for everybody that's Black. And it's like that, and it's like that. Sue me, I'm rooting for everybody that's Black. Yeah, and it's like that. Look, sue me, I'm rooting for everybody that's Black. Spent about 2 racks on handmade do-rag. Sue me, I'm rooting for everybody that's Black. Hey Trey, let this jump relax. Hold up. Now, some of y'all might never heard this song before. Some of y'all might have heard it. We try and have a moment. I want y'all energy. You know what I'm saying? If you heard it, rock with me. If you haven't, just get into it. The song's so important to the culture. Listen to Trey if you don't know the words.